Love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer. With boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare, side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea. This our native land, we pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
We're ready for the road. We're ready for the road. We're ready.
To our political leader, Mr. Philip Edward Alexander, our chairman, Ms. Felicia Holder, to my fellow speakers,
Yeah, we're ready.
to every one of you viewing us online tonight, and to our PEP family, a warm, wonderful welcome and good night to you. Welcome to our conversation on the state of the nation. And at this present time, I would like to introduce to you no other than our youth arm chair, Mr. David Welch.
We are the drinks them in a mic. Four parties we hit in a row. Tonight at the very last show. Before we head out on the road, the girl them a release the load. So let me see your hands up, so everybody know, put your hands up, so if you're ready for the road, let your friend them know. We're ready for the road. We're ready for the road.
Alright, good night, good night, good night. I think you pulled on the wrong thing in those statistics. Wrong head. Alright, good night, good night, good night, Trinidad. Trinidad and Tobago. You see that the cost of living is rising astronomically across the island. One of the problems that we're facing in Trinidad and Tobago is the gas price. The hiking gas prices, taxi prices are increasing. Everything is increasing across Trinidad and Tobago. Satish, tell me now, are you getting good?
Apologies. Good night again, good night. Listen, again, forgive the technical difficulties. I mean, this is our first night as well. We launch our political campaign. I am the youth arm officer for the Progressive Empowerment Party, David Welch. And you know, I come with a certain amount of charisma to the party. We just heard from Ms. Precious, the women's arm, the chairman of the women's arm of the Progressive Empowerment Party. So once again, to all of you locked on across our social media platforms, good night to you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, as I was saying, the agenda tonight, what is on the agenda tonight, Trinidad and Tobago, is the cost of living. The astronomical increase in the cost of living to Trinidad and Tobago. Now, we're going to talk policy, we're going to talk plan, we're going to talk development. On the table in Trinidad and Tobago today, especially from the Progressive Empowerment Party, is a plan to develop. We have 21 policies that we will be laying out here. We have speakers lined up across the platform tonight. We have 2 hours. We started a little bit late. Apologies for that. But we have speakers such as Mr. Stefan, who is going to come on. Yeah, Stephen, sorry, who is going to come on. We have like some truckers, representatives of the Truckers Association that is going to come on. We will also hear from the political leader, Mr. Philip Edward Alexander, live tonight on the platform as well. Now, as the youth arm for the Progressive Empowerment Party, I must represent the voice of the youths, because there's a lot of youths today that don't have anywhere to go to, that have nowhere to turn to. And tonight, Trinidad and Tobago, we're going to talk about plans and policies in which we, as the Progressive Empowerment Party, want to enroll the youth into the politics just a little bit, because we know that youths probably don't like politics too much, but we're going to enroll youth into politics through the Progressive Empowerment Party, because only in the PEP does every single creed and race find equal place under one umbrella. That is what the PEP stands for. Every creed and race finding an equal place under one umbrella. So we started tonight. We're going to hear from Mr. Stephen. Mr. Stephen is coming on right now to talk about some real issues in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, this is the only platform where real matters. So, Mr. Stephen, come on, sir. Come on. Good night to you.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for your introduction, Mr. Welch. My name is Stephen Matheson. I am not necessarily a politician in the way you might be thinking, but I was invited here tonight to speak a little bit about the effects of the gas prices and the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. I heard the young speaker speak about, I don't know why they will talk about how young people see the issues and the fact that they may not be political. And I just wanted to say, as a young man growing up, I always thought that politics was something that I should be part of. I should have a say in the way our political life, or how we live in a country where we pay taxes, and in a country where we dedicate so much of our lives to the things we need. And I remember at university, they say that politics is the means by which everything else is necessary. And that to me is so true, because when you think about it, everything that goes on in your family, in your life, in your home, has something to do with politics and has something to do with how we live, how we get things, how the distribution of wealth in a country. So when the issue of the gas price came up, one have to consider that what an increase in the gas price will do to you and will do to your shrinking budget. One of the things we notice, or we note quite clearly, is that your salaries are not raising in any way. Most persons, most people in Trinidad and Tobago, young people just are now on who are recently working, and some people who are working for years, their salaries usually range between 3,500. Some people are working for less than that, just bare minimum wage or under minimum wage. 3,500, 6,000, that kind of thing. Now, when you consider the average income in, say, New York, you will notice that it is just under ours. So the average income in New York is about $3,900 a month. And what someone working for $3,900 a month in New York can do with their income is nothing compared to what you can do with your income. So to those who would usually compare the cost of living in the US or the price of gas in the US with the price of gas in Trinidad and Tobago, I think their mathematics is a little off. $1 in Trinidad and Tobago will buy a dynamite. For the smokers, it wouldn't buy a cigarette. It certainly wouldn't buy a bamboo paper. $1 in the US could buy you something to eat at least for part of the day. So if you're working for $4,000 in Trinidad and Tobago, and someone in the US is working for the same thing, they can at least pay a mortgage for that. They can take care of their kids for that. They can do everything that you are required to do as a citizen, as a living person, with $3,500 or even $4,000, for which they can save from that. You cannot do that. And that's one of the things that I would like to talk about here today. Just at the beginning of COVID, what we noticed was what the government had in place for you, with all the taxes they pay. And let me just say first, I want to dispel this idea. Every single one of us pay taxes, directly or indirectly. We pay taxes, and not only we pay taxes, but our children pay taxes too. We pay taxes. And those taxes goes into what we call consolidated funds that is supposed to be distributed among the various organs of government to run the country, to ensure that we have all the things that we need to live a comfortable lifestyle. That is roads, water, electricity, social services, that are being taken away from the gas, that is yours. That is your royalty. All gas producing countries usually have some kind of royalty to give back to their citizens for the natural resources that are taken from the ground that belongs to every single citizen. And therefore, I want to talk tonight a little bit about how the increase in gas prices will affect you as an ordinary citizen. How it affects you as an ordinary citizen is that the persons, the business people, will obviously transfer the cost of that to their products and to you. And therefore, what we will have is inflation. what we will have is the price of basic commodities going up. If you look at 2015, when the government say, when the PNM would have gotten into office, the price of, say, a current road, the price of a current road was $5. The price of a current road today is about $9. That is almost an 80% increase. What was the price of a bread in 2015? A kiss slice of bread. The price of a bread in 2015 was about $8 or $9. Today it's double that. And every single thing has almost doubled, some has tripled. The price of a bag of milk that was $23 in 2015 is now $62. And that, if you don't understand, is inflation. How is it going to affect you? Could you remember the ordinary citizen? When last income, his salary increased. When last he got that salary increase? The last time you would have gotten a salary increase for most persons would have been about 8, 9 years, 10 years ago for public servants. I don't think it was any time recent. And we're still talking about 0. Now, but everything else is increasing around you. It means that what you could have done in 2015, you cannot do half of that in 2022. That is inflation. And that is what we talk, when we talk about cost of living, that is what we talk about. So before I segued, I was talking a little bit about what happened at the beginning of COVID, when COVID came to Trinidad and the country was in a lockdown mode. The government sought to give, or said that they were giving persons some kind of relief through NS and other social services. Most of the people who would have been qualified or needed that relief never got it. And in any case, those who got it would have gotten it once. Probably $2,000, how much it was once. One of the reasons they would have given for persons not getting that relief was, and mind you, most of those persons are still unemployed today, but one of the reasons they would have given for persons not getting that relief was that there were a lot of fraudulent entries in the system. The challenge with that is that a government in 2020 should, in Trinidad and Tobago, the kind of resources we had passed over here should never have been saying that. Because one of the things, and I always say it, there are companies, well, and I'm into human resource management, there are companies in this world today with more employees in it than we have citizens in this country. And they have systems called HRIS systems, where they know, they are aware of everything that is taking place with their workers. And if we had a digitized system, where we know our citizens, then there would have been no need at that time to say to the national public that there are fraudulent entries, and as such, the persons who needed the relief could not have gotten it. So when we talk about governance, that is one of the areas that you, as a citizen, should be thinking when you think about the failings of the government, or the failings of the government and the inability of the government to protect you as a citizen. But I just wanted, because I know there's a long list of persons to speak here tonight, and I wanted to talk a little more about how the price of gas, or the increase in gas, will affect you. Everything, ladies and gentlemen, obviously will increase over time. And with inflation, it is not necessary that the business people who are crying the most, that they would feel it because they will pass it on, and in fact, in some cases, they will make more money. Because when they increase the price of their goods, part of it will obviously be attributed to profits. So, you, as a citizen, you are the only person who have the power to make a difference. You are the only person who have the power to say no. In the last 5 years, I've made a lot of changes in what I eat, how I eat. I mean, if you go to buy lunch today at any restaurant, a meal that was about $35, $40 before COVID is now about $60, $70. But your income is going up. And these are the things that you have to start thinking about. You have to start making some choices as citizens. And those choices would mean that you have to control yourself. You have to make decisions as to what you eat, how you eat, what you buy, what you don't buy. And the only time inflation will affect you in a significant way, I mean, there are things that you just have to do, but the only time inflation will affect you in a significant way is if you just continue your life, living your life the way that you've been living it, and enriching certain people, who pays back to the government, who corruptly dispose of your money. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know there are a lot of persons here to speak, and I will give them that opportunity to do that now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen Matheson. At this time, to our viewing audience, we do apologize for the technical difficulties that we are experiencing at this time, and our technicians are working diligently to get that sorted out, but at this present time, we would go to our commercial break, and we will be right back.
Limited and Unique Lumber and Construction Guyana Incorporated are premium manufacturers and exporters of high quality bifolding sliding and pocket door systems, fire rated doors, windows, operable louver shutters, hardwood floors, staircases, architectural moldings, and toughened laminated glass. Unique Group of Companies also supply kiln-dried greenheart, mahogany, cedar, and teak for both residential and commercial projects, locally and regionally. Our logs are cut and shipped by Unique Lumber Guyana and dried in our computerized kiln at our factories facilities in Trinidad. Visit our showrooms to see the quality, which makes us unique.
Darren's Air Conditioning Services. Professional services at affordable prices. They have air conditioning units starting at $2,800 with free delivery, installation, and Wi-Fi ready. We supply Pioneer, Lennox, Comfy, and Infinity, all at unbeatable prices. Servicing of a 12,000 BTU at only $150. Don't forget to check them out on Google, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So contact Darren's Air Conditioning Services at 749-8245. Darren's Air Conditioning Services. Professional services at affordable prices.
All right, welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. Do apologize for the audio at the start. I hope that it is better for our online viewers. Once again, you are looking live at the Progressive Empowerment Party first ever political meeting here live in Port of Spain. All right, now we will have better days. This is our first day, so do bear with us. For all the viewing audience, do bear with us totally. All right, what I want to emphasize, because the point needs to be emphasized, that this is a new party, and this is thank you, this is a developing party. The team here, you know, we want young, vibrant people to come and assist us with everything that we do inside of the Progressive Empowerment Party. One of the things that you would have seen, Trinidad and Tobago, is that the political leader, Mr. Philip Edward Alexander, is around the country every single day, 24/7, representing the Truckers Association, representing the Farming Association, representing every single association across Trinidad and Tobago. One of the things that you should also remember, and one of the things that you should keep into consideration, is that the Progressive Empowerment Party is the real opposition in Trinidad and Tobago. This is where real change comes from. So if you want to see real change come 2025, or whenever a general election is called in Trinidad and Tobago, I want to tell you this is the party to join. All youths must come on board now. The young generation, the elderlies, everyone must come on board now and throw whatever you can at the party to support the Progressive Empowerment Party. This is our first night. We apologize for the technical difficulties once more, but that will not stop us. The technical difficulties will not stop us. The rainy days ahead in Trinidad and Tobago will not stop us. And one of the things that we are speaking about tonight on the topic, the burning topic, is the gas price, the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago, how that is going to affect every single citizen across Trinidad and Tobago. The gas hike right now is causing a tremendous effect on everything, every aspect of this economy. So we know today many people came back to the party, to the Progressive Empowerment Party, after that powerful press conference to say, oh God, the place shutting down. Well, today we have a member, a representative, I should say, of the Trucking Association that will give you plans. I can say plans? Well, you see, ideas. You see, we have a lot of persons in Trinidad and Tobago with some really great ideas on how we could manage Trinidad and Tobago, how we should be managing Trinidad and Tobago, how the government is supposed to be managing our affairs. So, Mr. Rishi Maharaj, he is a member, I'm going to say member. He is a member of the Trucking Association to Trinidad and Tobago, and he has a lot to say, a lot to get off his chest, because a lot of views go unrecognized in Trinidad and Tobago, and only in the Progressive Empowerment Party, only through a vibrant, dynamic team and a political leader with a vision can views really be expressed in the Progressive Empowerment Party. So I want to invite Mr. Rishi to, don't say it twice, say it once. So you see, this is real. This is real life. This is what we're facing on a daily basis. And I want to put on the agenda now that Mr. Imtiaz Khan is in the building, and he is going to come and address you right after. All right, but Mr. Rishi, I know that you have a lot to say. So come on, say. Come on. Thank you so much for being here. Good night. All yours.
Good night to all the viewers out there. My name is Rishi Maharaj, member of the South Truckers Association. President Dave Suku sends his apology, could not be here tonight. Tonight, we have a lot to say, but I will just make it short and sweet as we go along. We, the South Truckers Association, has joined together with National Transportation Association on the decision against the increase of fuel price. We, the truckers of the nation, cannot absorb the fourth fuel increase anymore. Maintenance of our vehicle at all-time high expense. We have no exemption on parts and services. Why is this government taking away our subsidy from fuel? The end result in this difficult fuel increase will lead to goods and services also being increased. We are here tonight to say to the government, enough is enough. We cannot keep going like this anymore. We need the government to consult with transportation professionals. I want to say a special thanks to the president of the PEP, Sir Philip Edward Alexander, for having us and standing with us strongly and not making this political. Thank you so much.
So you heard from the Trucking Association, well, a representative of the Trucking Association to Trinidad and Tobago. You know, the Progressive Empowerment Party really stands for real change in this country. And one of the things that the people of Trinidad and Tobago should really take into consideration is that the Progressive Empowerment Party also comes with 21 policies in which we can fix Trinidad and Tobago. Now, we're not saying that we're going to fix the entire country with just 21 policies, but what we're saying is that we have a start. We actually have a manifesto, we have a plan, we have where we want to go to. And in the Progressive Empowerment Party, I mean, all the speakers can tell you tonight, there's a lot of young people. There's a lot of young, dynamic people, from the women's arm to the youth arm to every arm of the party. You have that aspect of persons that come together to create what we call real representation and real change. You know, there might be a lot of persons looking on today that says they don't have their stuff in order, they don't have this in order, they don't have that in order. But what we have in order is proper representation. And what we're calling for is for many of you in Trinidad and Tobago to pick up the mantle and join us. Because what we want is for every creed and race in Trinidad and Tobago to unite for a better place. That's where it starts. If you see a problem, you must first acknowledge the problem and be willing to change that problem. Be willing to go down in the dirt and fix that problem. And fishermen's Friends of the Sea. I remember going out with Mr. Imtiaz Khan outside of the office of the Prime Minister when the horrific tragedy happened out at sea. And I remember Mr. Imtiaz standing up and wanting answers, wanting a document signed, actually wanting the Prime Minister to really take into consideration that farmers and Friends of the Sea, well, fishermen and Friends of the Sea have some real concerns, real issues that need to be dealt with. And I feel as though he's going to come and he's going to say the same thing that he has been saying for years. But I'll leave it up to Mr. Imtiaz to come and give his perspective on everything plaguing the Fishing Association in Trinidad and Tobago. So please welcome Mr. Imtiaz Khan, President of the Calibre Fishermen Friends of the Sea.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Welch. Good night to all viewers. As you hear, my name is Imtiaz Khan. I'm the president of the Calibre Fishing Association. Now, the fuel price is really hard on the fisherman. It's been that way since the closure of Petrotrin, because fishermen use 160 liters of fuel a day on average. Before the closure of Petrotrin, the cost to go out to fish was $580 with your oil. Since the closure of Petrotrin, which is 3 years ago, since 2018, the end of 2018, the price went up. The price went up to $1,150 to venture out to fish. And now, with this further increase, right, to those who don't understand how fishing happen, before we go out to fish, we have what we call operational costs, just like any other business. So if when you're going out to fish, you have to put out this money first. And we're not guaranteed to get anything when you go out there. You're not guaranteed to catch anything when you go out there. So when we go out to fish, there's no guarantee. What starts happening in the industry also is fishermen stop venturing as they used to. Because since 2018, with that increase, and for the past 2 years, so much events that has happened in the Gulf of Paria in terms of pollution, loss of habitat for the fish, fish started migrating. So, and the thing for me is within this pandemic, the government told us that we were essential. Were essential in terms of playing a part in creating food security in this country. The fishermen, the farmers, we were essential. So now, after 2 years of this pandemic, you come and tell us we need to pay more for gas. No, in the midst of the pandemic. So we as the fishing community, what is going to cost us now is going to cost us about $1,800 to mobilize just to go to fish. We're not sure to catch any fish. Because if you all can remember, last year, we had the oil spill, Petrochin, in August. We still have all the issues in terms of piracy that's happening out at sea. Fishermen refuse to report it. When the Riverine was launched, you know what the police was telling us? Tell the fishermen to report it. We don't have any reports. Why they don't have reports? Because fishermen are getting any answers, nothing changing. So we have so much issues in this whole fishing industry. But you see this gas price, I think it's to shut it down. That is what they plan to do, to shut down the fishermen from fishing. Because here what? In the midst of the pandemic, whilst we couldn't get curfew passes, we saw vessels coming and offloading fish here. Where they're coming from, the cost of their fuel, we can't compete with their prices. So now the government telling us we have to pay a higher operational cost. And for those who don't know, when we used to have the regular gas, it used to cost us $5.80 gas and oil. Here what? We could have go, if we hold 200 pounds of fish, we could have paid the worker, we could have, the boatman would have some money, he cover his expense. Now, with this higher fuel cost, we have to hold more fish. And you know what the sad thing about that? If you ask anybody in national fisheries, in terms of data collecting, with the fishing industry, you know what they will tell us? We overfishing. But here what's going on? Things are being done. The government, the spill that happened last year in August. When that spill happened, the proper process wasn't used to contain that spill. It was supposed to boom, skim, and take out of the water. You know what they do? They break it up and send it down in the bottom, in the food chain, in the nurseries. Because we have all the documents with that, where that spill happened, is one of the nursery in the Gulf of Paria. Now, if you all remember what happened in Woodland when we meet with the fishermen them down south by the creek, the water that normally used to go up because of a new piece of highway, go up into the mangrove for the habitats, it's not there no more because the water not going into the mangrove for the fish to go in, to spawn, to come out. So, and then the security issue. In 2018, I have all the documents here, where we was promised interceptors, 14 interceptors to be at the cost of $6 million. That's what they promised us in 2018. Up to now, 2022, no interceptors. So the government telling us they couldn't find $6 million to repair those interceptors to assist the fishermen in security. And you all know, we met with the Minister of National Security, and he met with us because 7 more fishermen get through overboard. We had the death of Mr. Volman, Paris Rambudu, and Naranja Garib last year. So that prompted the meeting. So it took the government 2 years, as Mr. Welch rightly reminded you, when we delivered that letter to the Prime Minister, and the letter here, it was on the 9th of September 2019, the letter here, 12 recommendations. Had they dealt with these recommendations, we would have taken care of the security issues out at sea. But they take no heed to the fisherman. We only get acknowledgement. Nothing happened. So since that incident in 2019, it took the government 2 years. They met with us in June last year. They launched the Riverine unit. Right? We was asking for a centralized Coast Guard base at Cuba, at Calibe. Nothing. The minister only dodging. They only putting out stuff in the media that is not relevant. So getting back to the fuel, we, the fishing community, are saying no because here what? It's super by $1. It's going to take the cost higher to go to fish. Kerosene, fisherman was going to kerosene engine. Now with the increase in kerosene by $2, kerosene will be $3.50 a liter. Diesel 50 cents. Now, I was talking to the president of the Orange Valley Fishing Association, and he was telling me the diesel he used 5,500 gallons because they do long line trawling, right? Deep sea trawling. His operational cost went up by 11,500, and that is now. It went up before that. So those in authority are telling us we need to give them more so we could have less to provide less for our families. You know, our Constitution talk about, let me read this part of the Constitution for you. This is what our Constitution says. The right of individual to equality of treatment from any public authority in exercise of any function. That's what our Constitution says. That is what we ought to be getting from those in authority, equity in treatment. So we are not privileged like those to provide better for our family. It's only the finance minister want that, the prime minister, those in his cabinet. So what about our family? You took off a subsidy that 1.4 million people enjoy, right? To make life easier on them in the midst of a pandemic. And why you take it off? Because you say you cannot. But you don't pay it. The oil companies pay the subsidies. You said that Mr. Imbert said that. The clipping all over Facebook right now. He said that. So what we have to do? So you telling us, you know, and the thing is, your responsibility was to make life better for all the citizens, not just for a few. And I, as a citizen here, I ask so much a question because we are on the receiving end. Because the government, they really don't care about us because they can live. We pay their salaries. We paying for the life they enjoy. For they to tell us we cannot provide because fishermen they go out today because with the price and with the kerosene and with the diesel fishermen, so we have to do something. So right now I'm calling on all fishermen because here what? We have 65 fishing associations in this country. Around this country, we have over 25 pirogues. We have over 100 trawlers. I am calling on all the fishermen to stand up and say no to this increase. Tell them we cannot afford it. Because we need this money to help take care of our family. We cannot be giving this government all this money, all our taxes, and we not gain anything from it. Because in spite of all these taxes, what has improved? If you look at all the landing sites around this country where fishermen fish, in terms of security, the facility, the condition fishermen work under, it's really bad. It's really poor. And in terms of security, what we getting out at sea is nothing. Nothing is happening. So we say no to this increase, and we're telling this government we're going to push back because we were essential just a little while ago. In the midst of the pandemic, you told us we were essential. So now, what happened now? You know, you always say, the former Minister of National Security always say, be patriotic. So where's your patriotism, government? What about the people of this country? What about all the people of this country? So, you know, I would like to say thank you to the National Transport Association and Mr. Philip Alexander for lending us this platform to highlight the concerns of the fishermen. So as we go forward, I'm calling on all fishing folks, all vendors, because this is going to affect us. This means more for the government, less for our families. And we can't continue going that way because you know what? We could have fish, we could have given neighbor a fish. Now you're telling us we can't give neighbor a fish. We have to watch people starve. That way we go in. That's where we go in because if you can't cover your cost, what is the sense in doing business? Any business person will tell you that. So, thank you to Mr. Alexander and Pep, and thank you to the National Transport Association of the newly formed one of Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks.
Thanks so much to Mr. Imtiaz Khan, President of the Caribe Fishing Association, for giving us that insight into exactly what the Fishing Association is going through in Trinidad and Tobago, especially the Caribe Fishing Association, and by extension, every fishing association across Trinidad and Tobago. Now, Mr. Imtiaz Khan brought up some very, very crucial points. One of them, he mentioned the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago and the right of equality for all across Trinidad and Tobago. And I must tell you that I had to go and get one of these. One of the 21 policies and the transformation plan from the Progressive Empowerment Party, because one of the things that it mentioned in here, and one of the ways that we could alleviate some of the corruption in Trinidad and Tobago, is by the 15th policy of the Progressive Empowerment Party that speaks about public office reform, because that is what we need. That is what we need to alleviate some of the burdens that we feel as citizens, as presidents, as concerned citizens, and of people of Trinidad and Tobago. One of the things that he also mentioned is that we have to give the government more and we're going to get less out of it. Because the subsidies, the increase, the removal of subsidies, the increase in gas prices, we're giving them more. We're giving them what they want. I want to tell the people of Trinidad and Tobago to look back at the pandemic. Because during the pandemic, during the crucial times of the pandemic, and I believe that we're still in the pandemic, but given those times that we were in, the government of Trinidad and Tobago told us that we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to be our brother's keepers. Did they take a salary cut? Did they do any of that? The Prime Minister, the opposition, they all making millions of dollars each and every single year. That's what they bank in. The Prime Minister of this country during a pandemic went to rent apartments or buy homes. And we all know exactly how all of that ended up in the public domain. But considering that he can buy homes, he could use that cash and add to the subsidies in Trinidad and Tobago so that we don't have to foot that bill. But anyway, we have issues, real issues. This is a people's platform. And on the people's platform, Trinidad and Tobago, we bring real people to talk about real concerns. So coming up next is Eastside Truckers. The Eastside Trucking Association is here in the office tonight, the Progressive Empowerment Party building. We are live in Port of Spain right now. Mr. Alim Karim, good night to you, sir. I don't think you need any introduction.
Good night. So, good night, everyone. I represent the Eastside Truckers. My name is Alim Karim. We have a lot of issues that is affecting us. But most of all, presently, the gas price. And, well, I won't stay too long. As from today, all material prices went up with the gas price. Sand, gravel, transport, everything went up. So we are calling on all truckers and the public to come together and let's do something about this, because it will affect everybody, right? Parts on trucks went up as well. Tires, I went to buy tires today, tire price went up. So as the gas price went up today, everything else went up. So I'm calling on everybody else, all the truckers, all the maximen, all the taximen, let's come together and let's do this. And thanks to Mr. Alexander and his team for having us.
Short and sweet is really the thing here in the PEP, boy. Short and sweet. So, you know, given everything that is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago, I think we can all find a sense of safety within the Progressive Empowerment Party, because I find that. I find a sense of love and a sense of safety within the Progressive Empowerment Party, and there's a lot of persons that would say the same thing as well. You have heard from almost every single association in Trinidad and Tobago, the Maxi Taxi Association, the Fishing Association, every association in Trinidad and Tobago, everyone is adding their 2 cents to this whole issue of the gas prices in Trinidad and Tobago. And they are all saying the same thing and calling for the same thing, calling for consultation with the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And the Progressive Empowerment Party also calls for consultation with the government of Trinidad and Tobago. We will meet with you one-on-one. We will have a conversation with you. But we're hoping that when we have that conversation, that fruits will actually bear from that conversation. We hope that you can take heed and listen to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because we need to have a government that is people-centered. That's all that we need. That's all the people of Trinidad and Tobago is calling for. We don't want to have to create political parties here, create political parties there, and all over the place. We want to have a government that is actually working for us. And by the looks of it, by the looks of the government and their actions and others that come and left, there's no political entity in this country that actually care about the people and put people first. But here, again, I would always emphasize it. Here at the Progressive Empowerment Party, we do our best to put people first. One of the speakers coming up next to speak to you, to enlighten you, a beautiful young lady, I would say. Young lady. She said she's 51, but she's a very young lady, Miss Avenel Hector, and she will address us now.
Thank you very much. Well, good evening to all the patriots, wherever you are. And I want to say that I am not PEP, I am not PNM, I am not UNC. But should the People's Empowerment Party ever, and when, because we need to have these types of governance, we need to have a shift, we need to give different people a chance, okay? Let me say Philip is my boy. When Philip becomes Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, I will be doing this same thing if you do not rise to the challenge. One of the things that I had a problem with my friends in the partnership with, we spoke against certain things that happened pre-2010. We didn't like the corruption, we didn't like the this, we didn't like the that. And then when the partnership won, there were people that were silent because of the corruption that took place in the country. And then I realized more and more that we don't really have issues with things in Trinidad and Tobago. We have issues with who do it. So if I read and Red in charge, whatever Red do, I go and suddenly create a new conscience. I'm not in this nonsense about politics and no morality. If there's only have one type of morality, the schizophrenia is what killing us, because we can't get people to put country first. Because once your party doing it, you know, I am thinking how we in this pandemic, a lot of people died, and I'm asking you, I'm telling you that people died because an ambulance did not come to them. A man spent $6 million to get out an ambulance or a fire truck. And I'm thinking, you know how much fire trucks we could have get with that? I know we're talking gas hikes, but we're also talking governance, poor governance or lack thereof. We have people who are sick in narrow streets. How long we know that we have narrow streets in Trinidad and Tobago? You know, I went to England some years ago and I got sick and they sent an ambulance for me. It was small, like a Tida, but a European version. I was like, wow, why we can't have those kind of things? So when somebody, you know, gets sick in a place like Belmont, those people are not important too. And, you know, we are here in this time, in 2022, a nation that is suffering, a nation that has consistently felt the pain of leaders who do not feel what we feel, leaders who do not empathize with us, leaders who do not even pretend. You know, the whole statement of a man saying, and then you're at yet, boy. That, I mean, the levels of disrespect. I don't know about you. The angst. What we should be feeling as citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. And telling me what is happening all over the world. We live here. It's not that I'm not concerned about what happens elsewhere. When we look at the fact that we keep comparing Trinidad and Tobago with other countries, look at a country that has seen so many oil booms. I want to use the analogy, if I give somebody $100 and I give somebody $1,000, what I expect in return from the person with the $1,000. So I'm not going to be stupid and say, PNM never do nothing. No, that's a dotage statement. They have done. Okay, but let us put it in relation to the kind of money that has flowed through this country, like a dose of salt. Why are we here at this point in time? Our food import bill is so high. why we have all of this Carney lands. We're not going to talk about the man who ended up with the Carney lands, who we can't really explain for. I know courthouse closed, so I ain't calling him no names, right? But I pray that is revealed why it is that successive governments have not seen it necessary to do something about our food security. Why it is that we don't have a system where we can provide and we can make our own feed. We always having those poultry farmers, and they're crying and bawling about, when it is we have a problem with getting it in the country when the cost is too high. All of these things affect how we live. And if your political head is so high up that you do not want to make constructive criticism, that you do not want to speak out at this time in history to say, listen, something is wrong with the way that we are being governed. How could you just put a hike and say on the 19th of April, you're going to remove the subsidy? And if you are a yellow person and you want to jump out and say something, you need to go back and see what was said by your party, by a former finance minister. And and I like the theme, conversations. Because we have to have certain conversations in Trinidad and Tobago. What has brought us to this place? And what do we need to go from here? What should governance in 2022 look like in a country like Trinidad and Tobago? How should our import and our export, our food bill, we have had this whole Russia thing going on for months and lots of conversations about how it's going to, before we even got to the gas issue, how it is going to impact us. And our government has not specifically spoken to it, apart from fleeting comments with a clear plan going forward. And now we have compounded it by removing the gas subsidy, the price of fuel going up. In a country where people are reeling, suffering. Imagine in Trinidad and Tobago in 2022, a country that is so rich, you have people saying, I am choosing which day to eat. I let my children eat yesterday because I didn't have enough for both of us to eat. People say I'm angry. Yes, I'm angry. How could anybody with a good conscience live in Trinidad and Tobago and not be angry? As a Christian, I'm angry. I sin not, but I'm angry. I have a moral responsibility. Bible says to me, I'm supposed to love justice, do mercy, and walk humbly before my God. My silence will make me culpable, and there's a price that you pay when you speak in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not even going to the fact the government won't give an NGO like us a dime, but that's the next conversation. And that's okay, because, again, when we speak about governance, we have governance by spite and vindictiveness. And before you jump out yourself, both parties do it. So somebody like me, I neither yellow, I neither red, I in the middle there, Conversations. What are the conversations we need to speak to? I want to go back to those 128,000 signatories. We had about 700,000 people vote in the last election. And if you look at 128,000 signatures, that speaks to a significant percentage of those persons who cast the ballot. We dropped it off. And this is the kind of disrespect. And I feel it today that the opposition is feeling disrespected, but they have also been part of the disrespect meted out to the population of Trinidad and Tobago. And it's unfortunate. 128,000 citizens signed physically on paper a petition. Some people say, that's all, it's only so much you can address. You see this whataboutism attitude we have in Trinidad? So you ain't protesting nothing. Your only goal in life is to ask people who speaking out against evil, what about this and what about that? 128,000 signatories, physical signatories, not an online thing, that were dropped off at the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. The Parliament, or the Parliament, as one of our ex-prime ministers would say, the Parliament. The Parliament represents something in a democracy, or at least it should. Neither the opposition leader or the Prime Minister or any one of the members of the 41 members of Parliament has seen it fit to address the concerns of 128,000 signatories representing citizens of this country If that doesn't bother you, it bothers me. Because this is the kind of disdain and contempt that we continuously feed, and we are continuously feeding on, dealing with, living with. So that you can just become, a lot of people are leaving. I am involved in charity, so I know a lot of people leaving because I get calls all the time. After they had the garage sale, what remains, they say, come and get it tomorrow. I have to go by somebody selling out 2 houses, busting it. But you know what? There are lots of people in this country who don't have the option to leave. And those are the people that I am concerned about. I could go on a plane, But I'm concerned about those people there. Those people who the politicians of Trinidad and Tobago see as voter banks. That's the only time they're good for. Do politicians in Trinidad and Tobago know that there are men in Laventille that cannot even come out of their apartment building? No. They don't. I don't know. They don't care. Because you know why? It doesn't affect them. That our citizens are going to bed drinking sugar water. People say, so what if they don't have no books to go to school? They know 6 months. Hey, honey, sugar love, they didn't have money 6 months ago. They didn't have money 5 months ago. They didn't have money 4 months. They ain't going to have money for a long while until this system, this oppressive system that where the government on both sides use their finances to get money from their finances and right at the back of poor people in this country. No, they ain't going to have money today. They're hungry, they're suffering, they're broke. I know we hating on you. Go and live your best life. Once you own your money, good and hard, and it wasn't because you bought in guns and armed my black brothers and them in Laventille that they killing one another like fools and they hold up in apartments and they can't even come out. Even when our organization give them businesses to run, we have to bring the supplies because they can't leave the hood. Once you make your money on this, enjoy it. But for crying out loud, now, man, oh gosh, man, think about us. Besides election time when you come at your jersey and your $300 and your $200 and them kind of insults all we doing the people in the ghetto. No, we're not having that no more. And I pray today that even in this season when things are becoming more and more hard, that we will peacefully song to the powers that be. We have had enough. And it ain't gonna be no cliche. And I am very angry, intolerant of politicians who at a time and then do anything in their time and then want to, but that's our next narrative we're going to have. But I just want to encourage all of us to come together as citizens under the red, white, and black banner. Whoever you vote for or didn't vote for, but this moment in time is a red letter moment. There have been many such moments that we find that we need to speak. We need to speak clearly. And we need to speak united as a people. If for one moment you could say, yes, I voted for X party or Y party, but you see what they're doing now? It ain't right. It ain't just. And you're not going to try to find a way to change your conscience and to just pretend and make up a story or be silent. If we can all do that. When we vote for people that we hold them accountable, and David would have spoken about that. Transparency, accountability. What we want is a better Trinidad and Tobago. And I am not a person who's fearful, but I am very afraid as to what is going to happen in the next couple of weeks and months if the government does not rethink this foolish, ill-thought of. This Minister of Finance that we have, he has shown his inability to govern the finances of this country. All he can do is increase and add taxes, and that is no creativity. There's no genius there. Let us see what you can do, because remember, you didn't get no money, eh? Never mind the Heritage and Civilization Fund had money, but you said you didn't have no money, and I want to end. That was chaining us up. You know, when I take my children to the grocery, what I do? I start to my husband and we start telling them from the time we leave home, we don't have much money, eh? We only have X amount of money. The money that we have is to get specific things. And we keep telling them that on the drive. We keep telling them on the drive when they go to the grocery. And we manage the expectation. And that is what the government did. When they won the election, they keep singing that song. It had no money, it had no money, it had no money. But if you have sense, you're going to see that money spending on things. What we tell our children is that we don't have no money for all the extras, but we have money for X, Y, and Z. We have no money for important things. Schools have been open. We say 1 week when we have money, we boast about how good the economy going. Then next week we drop it on people that, you know, make up your mind. Are we doing good or are we not doing good? If we're doing good, and then you take away the subsidy, then you're wicked. So you need to decide, you need to be consistent in your narratives, your stories, your conversation that you have with us. How about some respect? How about engaging the different stakeholders? Did anybody by chance, or they just say, hey, let's remove the subsidy, and by removing the subsidy, we will save X amount of money or we will earn X amount of income? Did anybody, Mr. Finance Minister, sit and do a chart and understand the implication? Yes, it's happening all over the world, but what is the plan to help the poor people buffer? Do you even know that there are poor people in this country? When last have you checked? I understand the last one from 2011 was very grave. When last have you really done an analysis? Even to speak to you, Mr. Finance Minister, and I close here, your constituency of Diego Martin East. So much poverty. Do you even know there's a place called the Pines up in the bush in Diego Martin? And I can go on how many of those children were not able to go to school today, or when they went to school today in your constituency that didn't have enough supplies. Trinidad and Tobago, let us continue to forge together as one people, a united vision for one nation, a better nation, Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to commend Mr. Philip Edward Alexander, right, for what he's doing. We don't always agree in terms of his method, but the man have testicular fortitude, because somebody has to stand up and somebody has to speak up. So again, thanks for the opportunity to be here, and God bless all of us. Let's not give up hope.
That Diego Martin in the house, eh? That is Diego Martin in the house. So, thank you so much, Mrs. Hector, for that wonderful contribution. And the party certainly endorses what you're saying. I like that she wants to hold the political party, the Progressive Empowerment Party, accountable as well, if anything is to happen. Now, as the head of the youth arm for the Progressive Empowerment Party, one of the things that I want to emphasize that we are focused on doing is really developing youths. It's not just bringing youths into the party and then you might be lost in the party. We don't want to do that. We don't want to lose you in the party. We want to involve youths in community development in Trinidad and Tobago and further create jobs. Job creation is something that we need to talk about. So far, this government has done absolutely nothing to protect jobs in Trinidad and Tobago, to protect the private sector, and even to stabilize the economy. One of the things that we speak about in the Progressive Empowerment Party is stabilization for Trinidad and Tobago's economy and job creation. We need to start talking about incentives for businesses, international businesses, so that they can do business here in Trinidad and Tobago. So far, we are running every single company. We are running Movietown. We nearly run Movietown out of Tobago. We're running Movietown out of Trinidad. We ran Harry's Water Park. We're running everything out of Trinidad and Tobago. And as the youth arm for the Progressive Empowerment Party, I will do my best to speak with the political leader, Philip Edward Alexander, and even every single individual within this party to really talk about job creation to better youths in this country, not just youths, but every single citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. So we need to talk incentives. We need to talk everything that creates jobs in Trinidad and Tobago, infrastructure, development. All of these things are on the table to discuss with the Progressive Empowerment Party. Now, one of the things that we need to do is mobilize. We have seen all your comments on social media asking for us to come out on the streets and really mobilize and get to meet and greet the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to say that that is not off the table, because we in the Progressive Empowerment Party, we have a head of mobilization that is determined to get the party on the ground and to get the party in the know with everything. Everybody must know about the Progressive Empowerment Party, and soon everyone will know about the Progressive Empowerment Party if you don't already know. Everyone will know about Philip Edward Alexander. Everyone will know about the women's arm. Everyone will know about the chairman, Mrs. Felicia Holder, the party's executive. Everyone in the party, everyone will get to know. So I need to invite now to the podium, because there's an invitation. She's storming. There's a mob. So I want to invite Miss
Esther Prince, Head of Mobilization for the Progressive Empowerment Party, and she will address us now.
Well, good evening, everybody. And well, you got my name. I'm Esther Prince, Head of Mobilization, and I'm here to do a simple task, and I'm going to get through it very quickly. If you want to be part of what you have been hearing, those of you who have been listening to our political leader, Mr. Philip Edward Alexander, those of you who have been liking what he's saying, those of you who just listened to my sister Avenel and love what she said, because this is what our country needs, this is the opportunity for you to be a part of this, an opportunity for you to be an agent of change to make this happen. We need change in this land, and this can only happen if we do it together. Yeah, we have to do it together. So I'm here to help you to be able to be a part of this move, to be a part of what is taking place, and to help bring about the change that is needed through the Progressive Empowerment Party. So I'm going to give you some information, and the information is there is 41 constituency in Trinidad and Tobago. And if you are living or resident in any one of these constituency, listen for the name of the constituency, and I'm going to give you a number that you are going to message your name, your contact, and your constituency if you want to be able to volunteer. I know we have been speaking about this before. Our political leader have talked about it before. You would send messages. Sometimes we call, we don't get you. But if you are serious about change in our country and you want to be able to volunteer to help us bring that change about, you need to pay attention to what I'm saying. And I'm going to start with yours truly, Esther Prince constituency. So if, again, I'm saying do not call the number. The number is 309-6881. And the names that I'm going to call the constituency, if you are part of that, if you're residents in that constituency, you are going to message your name, your contact number, which constituency you are from, and what you want to help volunteer with. Anything at all, we need you. Just as you need us to give you information and to help you, we need you as well. Okay, so if you are from the constituency of Arima, Chaguanas East, Dabadi O'Meara, La Brea, La Hockiter Talparo, Lopino Bonaire West, Mayaro, Moruga Tableland, Point Fortin, Pointe-a-Pierre, San Fernando East, San Fernando West, Tobago East, Tobago West, message on 309-6881. Again, that number is 309-6881 to giving your name, your contact, and your constituency, and what you want to volunteer. Those constituency, again, is for 309-6881, Arima, Chaguanas East, Dabadi O'Meara, La Brea, La Hockiter Talparo, Lopino Bonaire West, Mayaro, Moruga Tableland, Point Fortin, Pointe-a-Pierre, San Fernando East, San Fernando West, Tobago East, and Tobago West. Now, I'm going to call another number for those who are under these other 14 constituency, and your representative there is Satish Ramsaran, our deputy political leader. His number is 796-8172. That number again is 796-8172. I'm going to repeat just in case you were closing your fridge door and you missed it. 796-8172. You're going to message your name, your contact number, and the constituency that I'm calling here if you're a resident in any of those. And those are Caroni Central, Caroni East, Chaguanas West, Couva North, Couva South, Kamuto Manzalina, Faizabad, Naparima, Oropouche East, Oropouche West, Princestown, Saparia, Tabaquite, and Toko Sangre Grande. And I'm going to repeat those constituency again. If you did not hear before, these are the constituencies if you are part of and you want to volunteer to make this party be the party of choice, that we can get into the parliament and make the changes that is necessary for us to have a better Trinidad and Tobago. The number you're going to message your name, your contact, and what you want to volunteer to, 796-8172. And the constituency that you are of, if you are in, Caroni Central, Caroni East, Chaguanas West, Couva North, Couva South, Kamuto, Manzalina, Faizabad, Naparima, Oropouche East, Oropouche West, Princestown, Superior, Tabaquite, Toko Sangre Grande. Last but not least, our next deputy political leader, Lima McLeod Wilkinson, and her number is 761-4132. That number again, 761-4132. And if you are residing in the constituencies of Aruca Maloney, Biotaria San Juan, Diego Martin Central, Diego Martin Northeast, Diego Martin West, Laventille East Movant, Laventille West, Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, Port of Spain South, St. Anne East, St. Augustine, St. Joseph, Tunapuna. I'm going to repeat again. If you are from these constituency following, the number to message your name, your contact number, and the constituency you reside in, and you want to volunteer to make change take place in this country, because we need your assistance. We need to work together. The person is Lima McLeod Wilkinson, and her number is 761-4132. The constituencies that you should be residing in to message that number is Aruca Maloney, Barataria San Juan, Diego Martin Central, Diego Martin Northeast, Diego Martin West, Laventille East Movant, Laventille West, Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, Port of Spain South, St. Anne East, St. Augustine, St. Joseph, and Tunapuna. So those are the 41 constituency, and if you are interested in being an agent of change with the Progressive Empowerment Party, send a message. Let us know that you are willing to work, you want to volunteer your time to make this country a place, a better place, not only for yourself, but for your children and your children's children. And with this, I say thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Esther Prince, she is really head of mobilization for the Progressive Empowerment Party. So I'll just emphasize the numbers once again. She called out 309-6881, 796-8172, and 761-4132. Those are the numbers that you can get in contact with. You could replay it and hear the constituencies that she called out and get in contact with the various of persons for these areas, in charge of mobilization for these areas, and also to bring you a part of the Progressive Empowerment Party so that you and we together can effect change. Now, some people say that the party too young. Some persons say that we need experience. Some persons say that Philip too arrogant. Some persons say that we too young inside of the Progressive Empowerment Party. But I remember a song, and it's in my head, where it goes like, one of the things that we need is young people. With the energy of the young people and the wisdom of the elderly, this is how we are going to take a nation forward. And many of you in Trinidad and Tobago, you're calling for change. You're calling for real representation and young people to take up the mantle in politics and lead the country forward. Because that's what we need in Trinidad and Tobago. We need young people to come together and say no and really take the country forward. Now, you could go to peptt.com, and you can read up on the 21 nice policies for the party. It's absolutely amazing. You can hear what we want to do for Trinidad and Tobago and how we want to take Trinidad and Tobago forward under these 21 policies. And if you think that the PEP don't have what it takes to lead this country into the future and to really govern us into a brighter Trinidad and Tobago, don't take my word for it. Take someone who here longer than me. Take it from someone who has been with the party ever since, from day one. So let me warmly welcome the chairman. I know you're not to tell me, I know. The chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Mrs. Felicia Holder. She has been with the party ever since. She stuck at the side of Mr. Alexander through thick and thin, through all the naysayers, and I too will do the same. I go be chair, Felicia. I will stay longer. Trinidad and Tobago, please welcome the chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Ms. Felicia Holder.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago, and thank you for that very warm welcome, David. Thank you for marrying me off as well, Mrs. Felicia. I speak it in Jesus' name. I'd like to welcome everybody once again to the first of what's going to be a series of Tuesday night talks known as the People's Platform. I'd like to also apologize for the technical difficulties we had at the beginning, and thank you so much for sticking with us through the rest of the program. Tonight, I want to open by quoting my favorite, I think this is my favorite quote, and it comes from, oddly enough, the Harry Potter movie. I was a very big fan of Harry Potter growing up, still am. And this was spoken by Albus Dumbledore, and the quote goes, "Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light." And I love that phrase, I love that statement, because it implies that even though things are dark, even though things are heavy, that the light can be found, that there can be hope. But when I think about that phrase in relation to Trinidad and Tobago, sometimes it feels as though current going, because no matter what direction you flip the switch, there seems to be a constant looming darkness over this country. And thinking about all of the issues that are plaguing us, it becomes heavy. It weighs down on you literally. I'm 33 years old, and my life is nowhere, apart from the politics, my life is nowhere where I thought it would be. I thought that by this age, I would have owned my own home. I thought that I would have a vehicle that's working, and if it's giving problems, I just drop it back to the place that I bought it and they will fix it. I thought that I would be earning a salary that would allow me to have the disposable income to travel the world and see places. And none of that is the reality. None of that is the reality, because I am living in a country that seems to have a complete lack and absence of hope. The Archbishop spoke over the Easter weekend, and he said that people need to stop bad talking Trinidad and Tobago, and we need to be a little bit more patriotic. We have nice beaches, we have nice people, we have nice food, but other than that, what about Trinidad and Tobago is really working for us? What is it about Trinidad? What do we have that works in Trinidad and Tobago right now? Let's take a simple thing as education. Today, schools reopened. For thousands of children, they would have returned to physical school. And the amount of drama that I heard surrounding that issue alone tells of just how broken this country is. We had parents complaining that they lining up to buy uniforms, and while they're in the line, the prices of the uniforms going up. We're paying for textbooks that have revisions for words like and but. We have children who going to school and their bags are empty, their lunch kits are empty, because parents can't afford to send their children to school with enough food. And that's a reality. That's a reality that we're facing. We're also facing the reality that some parents can't afford to send their children to school, period. And we're just touching on education. Today, the price of gas went up. And when the Archbishop said that we need to stop bad talk in Trinidad and Tobago, I was wondering how disconnected and out of touch do you have to be to not understand that everything about this country right now is literally falling apart around us. The price of gas, the trickle-down effect from that increase in the price of gas. I'm wondering if the leaders of this country, of this nation, are understanding just how hard things are for people right now, just how dismal and heavy it feels to be living in Trinidad and Tobago right now. Somebody told me outside, he asked me to mention in relation to the price of gas that a lot of people are operating on minimum wage, and that's a fact. There are a lot of people whose salaries have not increased since 2013, 2014, but everything else is going up. The price of bread, the price of food, your bills, you still have to pay light, you still have to pay water that you don't get. And you're looking around and you're looking to the leaders, the people in charge, and you're waiting for them to give you answers. You're waiting for them to give you solutions to what feels just like getting by. That's what it feels like living in Trinidad and Tobago, like you're getting by. Look at my community, Belmont. I'm from Belmont. And within Belmont itself, I mean, it could be a case study for Trinidad and Tobago. Within Belmont, you have the children who are no longer in school. You see them. Parents are not bothering to send their children to school anymore. How many boys drop out and they're just there and they're liming on the corner. And I speak to them because I don't shun anybody. I think everybody deserves a chance. And I have conversations with some of these people and I ask them, I said, what would you be doing if you weren't selling weed? Or what would you be doing if you weren't on the block? And you should hear some of the aspirations of these people who wanted to be a chef, who wanted to be an engineer, who wanted to be a lawyer. And people would laugh at things like that because it's, oh, you know, another little black boy, a statistic. But this is a human being with so much potential, so much possibility, that in a country like Trinidad and Tobago, they're so stunted and they're so boxed in, and it's so hard to grow out of the mold and the lifestyle that you grow up in. People like to judge and make comments that, oh, I'm from Laventille and I came out of poverty, or I was born in poverty and look at me now. And kudos to you. Congratulations. It's good that you made it out. But that's not the reality for a lot of other people. A lot of other people were born into situations and lifestyles that have constantly kept them back. The social fabric of Trinidad and Tobago has all but crumbled around us. And you see it. You see it every day. Look at the crime statistics. We don't talk about murders anymore because murders is now an everyday thing. I remember when I was younger, when a murder took place and it was splashed across the newspapers, people were horrified for days. We were shaken. Now murders are part of our everyday news. People get killed and nobody bats an eyelid because that is just part of living in Trinidad and Tobago now. But this darkness that we feel over us, this darkness that comes with living in Trinidad and Tobago. It's the reason why the Progressive Empowerment Party exists. I always say that I never had intentions of being political. I never thought that I'd be standing up on a platform like this, speaking to people about government and governance and leadership. I never thought that I would be the person offering myself as a viable option for leadership. But when you look around Trinidad and Tobago, when you look at who we have in Parliament, when you look at who our leaders are, you have to tell yourself that you can do better. Because I'm looking at the people who are in charge, I'm looking at the decisions that they're making, and that outer touch that feeling of being out of touch is so very real. Again, I look around my community and I'm wondering, are the people who are in charge, are they seeing what I am seeing? Are they seeing the worry and the concern from average citizens who literally are studying how to crunch the numbers to make the same salary, pay rent, and now pay increased fuel bills? Are they studying the people who have to travel and who would ultimately have to end up paying higher taxi fares because the taxi drivers are holding out? They don't want to increase the fares. They don't want to be the bad guy. But the reality is that they are people like us too. They have to go to the groceries too. They have bills to pay too. How disconnected are the leaders of this country? How disconnected are they from what is really taking place on the ground? I am here today as part of the Progressive Empowerment Party because change is not only needed, it is past overdue in this country. It is past overdue that we had leaders with sensible and credible knowledge to put themselves up to take Trinidad and Tobago out of the dark ages that it feels like we're operating in. We have to have leaders and people like Philip and myself and David and Precious and Esther who are looking around Trinidad and Tobago now. The Archbishop said that we need to be more patriotic. I think the definition of patriotism is understanding the situation of your country and being real about it and not pretending that everything is nice and all sunshine and puppies and rainbows, because it's not. Being patriotic starts with being truthful. Being patriotic starts with being honest with ourselves about the state of this country. Being truthful starts with me being honest and me telling you that it is hard. I'm 33 years old, and again, this is not what I thought my life would have been like. I thought at this point I could be able to withdraw $30,000 from my bank account and just go on a trip, but that's not the reality. It is not the reality in a country that is so rich, so blessed. I mean, Trinidad and Tobago, we right now should be going through a boom. We right now should be living it up. The price of oil has gone up, and it feels like, when did the Minister of Finance, about 2 weeks ago, he said that the country is doing well. 2 weeks ago, he said the country is doing well, and now they're coming to increase the price of gas. So what is it? Which is it? I started off by saying happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. In this case, I think the light is us. The light is you. The light is me. We have to be the light. We have to be the ones to shine light on the darkness that is hanging over Trinidad and Tobago. The Progressive Empowerment Party exists. This engine that could be no longer little. We've grown to a size that I can't even tell you who are the members, who is the membership now. People all over, they're tired, they're fed up, and they're ready for change. This platform, this forum that we have here is to bring not just the problems that plaguing us at Trinidad and Tobago, but to talk solutions. It's about time we had people talking sober, credible leadership, and we had people talking solutions for Trinidad and Tobago. This is a phase of what's going to be a series of these talks happening every Tuesday. And I invite you to stay tuned. I invite you to tune in and hear what a better Trinidad and Tobago sounds like and could be. Again, we are the light. And if you would like to be a part of shining that light on Trinidad and Tobago, I believe Esther would have given you some numbers. I'm also giving you my number because I'd like you to reach out. I'd like you to get involved. No matter how you think you can get involved, it doesn't have to be financially. It doesn't have to be you being a big donor to the party. Just being here, just standing in solidarity with us. We're looking for people to join us on walkabouts. We have to spread the message of change. We have to spread the light. We have to be that hope. So my number is 769-4590. If you would like to get on board the Progressive Empowerment Party, please reach out to us. We are taking this movement as far as we can take it, and we need all good people on board. I thank you for listening to me tonight, and I look forward to addressing you at future, what are we calling it? People's Platform meetings. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much to our chairman, Miss Felicia Holder. And I would like to reiterate what our chairman just said. You are the light and we are the light, and it's time for us to turn on. It is time for us to take action in our country of Trinidad and Tobago. And I would like to speak to the woman as a woman's chair. I would like to speak to the women who are looking on tonight. We would like you to come on board with us. Come on board within the Progressive Empowerment Party, the Party for Change. And if you would like to join, go to our website, peptt.com, and click join. Come on board. Your ideas is important. Your contribution is important. And if you would like to make a change, come on board with us. However, at this time, my position here tonight is to introduce to you none other than the people's choice. When you think about justice, this person's name comes to the forefront of your mind. When you think about someone who would defend the people of Trinidad and Tobago, this name comes to the forefront of your mind. This individual would stand for the people, constitutionally, conscientiously, without malice. None other than, please help me welcome our political leader, Mr. Philip Edward Alexander.
We're ready, 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 yeah, we're ready, we're ready, we're ready, we're ready. Look how the sun now raising up, and the crowd now waking up. The atmosphere have vibes, and nothing can break it up, 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 and nothing can break it up.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening to viewers worldwide, anywhere you are that you are following us. Good evening. Thank you for joining us in this, our first People's Platform. Every Tuesday night at 7 p.m., we will bring you a People's Platform. I'd like to thank the entire team of speakers that have been here tonight. I'd like to thank those of you who stuck it through with us in the beginning. We had some technical difficulties, and the team worked very hard to solve that problem, and I appreciate the effort they made. I want to thank all of the people who spoke to you tonight. And I want you to see that the promise in each and every one of them, the raw material that's going to give you a political option of zero recycled politicians. Everyone wants change. Everyone's talking and clamoring change. The Progressive Empowerment Party is the only party that is bringing real change, change you could use. When you hear our policies, in the beginning, and some of the members took you back to the beginning. In the beginning, when we came out with those policies, people thought they were too grand. It sounded almost impossible, too good to be true. Who would do those things? Why would they do those things in a country this corrupt? Why? Why would they do those things in a country this broken? Felicia spoke about the Archbishop's statement about stop bad talking Trinidad and Tobago. Every time we read history of countries that fail and places where people die needless deaths, even Venezuela, everybody always asks, why didn't the people speak up? Why didn't the people stand up? I want the Archbishop of Trinidad and Tobago to hear me say this to him. You cannot stand up for a broken country pretending that everything is all right. Nothing works in Trinidad and Tobago. Nothing. We live in a failing nation. We do not know the extent of how bad Trinidad is, because even the information that comes from the government are lies. We have never been given facts and truth upon which to build anything like an idea of where we are in the world. So look at Trinidad and Tobago today. A country so broken that the last bit of support the public had in a nation where our currency makes no sense, the value for the work that you get, I've at length explained what a unit of work is worth in Trinidad as opposed to anywhere else in the world. When you look at what you get for that work and then what you could buy with that money, today that got even worse. Today it got worse to a point that Trinidadians are not understanding, and so they're wondering why we're making this much of an effort. We formed a National Transportation Association that is quickly evolving into more of a solidarity movement, and we may very well change the name because the farmers have come on board, and the fishermen and the vendors and businesses and our parent teachers associations and housewives. People are coming on board this movement to stand up against this fuel price increase simply because all of the industries and all of the professionals that allowed our Minister of Finance to sneer and snicker and disrespect us, when he sat with the IMF and he said, I raised the price of fuel and they didn't riot. I raised it again and they didn't riot. I raised it a third time and they didn't riot. I may raise it again. And he gave us his trademark sneer. What gave him the authority to do that was the good and decent people of Trinidad and Tobago, and the businessmen and the professionals and the industries, like the transportation professionals, the taxis, the maxi taxis, the PH taxis, the truck drivers, who absorbed each and every one of those insults, each and every one of those failures. They absorbed it, and they insulated Trinidad and Tobago from the failure of government policy that left them no choice but to remove the subsidy that is the actual property of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They're actually taking money from you and telling you that they can't afford that subsidy. But at the same point in time, they're using your money to subsidize it. So it's left pocket, right pocket to you. Because we're overtaxed and we're overfined and we're overpunished. Everything in this country costs more than it should. Banking in Trinidad and Tobago is similar to burning the money yourself. Nowhere else in the world I know that you put your money in the bank and the resting balance depletes. When I was growing up, my father used to tell us, put your money in the bank and let it get interest. We don't get interest in Trinidad anymore. We get charges. Your balance depletes. Nothing works. This is a country where, as of today, the cost of animal feed went up 25% because they couldn't hold it. The increase in the price of fuel was going to destroy the provision of feed industry. So now that the price of feed has gone up, the price of chickens and meat gonna go up, and everything else associated with that. Prior to today, the price of eggs, flour, cricks, oil, to name a few, all went up. Flour went up twice. I told Trinidad and Tobago this morning that the bread company, Trinidad's largest bread company, has Trinidad's largest distribution fleet, all diesel trucks, all. And they have the responsibility to deliver bread every single day. So they have no way around absorbing that cost. They have to apply the cost of that increase in fuel to the cost of that bread. The problem is, with things like fuel and bread, they spiral inflation because the fuel increase causes increases of their own that comes back and affects the people who sell the fuel, like the bread. You raise the price of bread, and it affects the cost of living of other people who then raise the prices of what they supply to the bread company. And then the bread company raises again. That's where hyperinflation comes from. The truckers have begged the government not to do this. This is not over. The fact that nothing happened today was us standing down to allow the politicians to play politics. The UNC going out in their yellow shirts to beat their gas drums that brought nobody out in support should tell them something. It should tell you something. And while people outside there pretending and saying, well, at least they're standing up, that's not standing up. That's politicizing. You see this banner behind me? We did this deliberately tonight. At some point, we're going to have to claim the work that we do. And the other politicians need to understand. Not everything needs to be naked politics. And on the road, it doesn't have to be. And if the people behind the United National Congress had any sense at all this morning, they'd have come out in plain clothes so that the numbers of people on the road would have looked like citizens against the increase. But what they did was to create a PNM response to the UNC protest that had PNM people who know that they can't afford the increase in the price, defending the increase in the price because they have to defend their corrupt tribal identity party over the other corrupt tribal identity party. So now the conversation moved from what is affordable, what is survivable, to red and yellow politics. And that's the nonsense that we don't need anymore in this country. We don't need Kamala on a roundabout talking foolishness the day the price increase. You are the leader of the opposition. And if you can't challenge as the leader of the opposition, stand down. Because we want the prime minister to stand down. And we don't want to replace one clueless political buffoon with another. We've done that for 59 going on 60 years. The country is broken. The third wealthiest nation in the Western world is broken. Why would that be so? If we had one competent government ever. Look at who we are. Look at where we are. A joke. We are now a cautionary tale to countries like Barbados and Guyana, countries that we used to laugh at. Jamaica is now they are now dealing with companies to establish a national railway system in Jamaica. We can't even get our bus company to work right. Every government that comes into power changes the brand of bus that they buy so that the stockpile of parts at PTSC has to be dumped. When you buy buses for a bus company, you buy a stockpile of parts. It's like in the army and the police service, those who get the contracts to supply the guns and the ammunition to the army and the police. When it's one government, they supply one brand and one type of gun. So they get to supply one brand and one type of bullet. And that changes when the other government, and I'm using these as examples for you to understand the foolishness that has broken this country has its genesis always in the theft precipitated by the PNM and the UNC. Neither of them have the moral authority to tell you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, anything about where we go from here. And that's what we need to deal with. Moral authority. The people of Trinidad and Tobago have to sensibly and without distraction stay focused on the actual issue at hand. And the issue that faces us today is the fact that those who provide the transportation for the goods and the services that you rely on, those that provide transportation to you, they can't afford to absorb the cost of this increase. So they're going to pass it on to you. The staff that working by your doctor and by your dentist, the cost of them getting to work and getting home is going to increase. So now they're going to go to the doctor and the dentist for an increase in pay. The doctor and the dentist is going to increase the charge to you. And that's how it works. The government had a responsibility to remove the corruption in our budget. The government had a responsibility to explain to Trinidad and Tobago why Tobago gets $2.4 billion in the budget and every other constituency gets less than $100 million. And if that's not just naked vote buying, then what is it? Because central government still pays for all of the projects that take place in Tobago. The government has to explain why, before coming for fuel, it didn't cancel the contracts with the ex-attorney general and his family for real estate that we never needed and still barely use. We've built buildings that we no longer could occupy. All around the world, there is a real estate collapse in commercial buildings because of COVID-19, and work from home has created a whole new way of doing business. So we don't need Forest buildings at 1 and 3 Alexandra Street and any of the other business buildings that we rent from them. So we can give it back. And we don't need to desalinate salt water in a country that gets more fresh water than it could ever use falling from the sky for free. We just need to capture, hold, treat, and distribute it. So why are we spending $500 million a year desalinating salt water? Why? And why not cancel that and put that to the subsidy? And why are we giving government ministers and members of parliament and members of the Senate tax breaks to millions of dollars that benefits nobody? We don't need another Mercedes-Benz or Porsche Cayenne on the road. But every truck and every taxi and every maxi taxi makes life better for everybody. And if they could get the savings and pass it on to their clients and their customers, that reduces the cost of living and reduces the end cost to you. That deflates hyperinflation. But the government has no interest in that. The government has no interest in ending the perennial corruption that plagues Trinidad and Tobago. I am still trying to find out how we built a police station in Carenage for $51 million. When you go and look, and if you take a quantity surveyor to cost the bricks, the steel, the concrete, the labor, the electricals, the plumbing, the flooring, the windows and the doors, the ceiling that went into that building, you can't find $5 million. So how was it 51 million? And why is that number recurring decimal? Why did we pay $51 million to redo the doors in the Red House? $51 million in doors. We spent $500 million putting lipstick and rouge on the Red House. We spent $17 million renovating a cottage on President's grounds, behind President's house, that's not worth $2 million to replace from the ground up. We're building a hospital block for $1 billion. It's costing us something like $300,000 a room. The government is not at its wits' end looking for ways to save money. The removal of this subsidy is arbitrary, is obscene, it's punishing, and it's going to destroy small businesses in this country. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have a responsibility to this democracy to stand together outside of red and yellow politics. And it's time for us to look beyond the nonsense of identity politics. You cannot tell me that you are going to defend your cost of living spiraling out of your ability to survive just because of the color shirt you wear politically. That is literally cutting off your nose to spite your face. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, need to stand together and tell the government that is unacceptable. We are not going to accept it. And at some point, everyone is going to realize what we've been saying is coming. Before it spins out of control, We want to get all of the good people on one side of the conversation. We are not joining with any political movements, and we're not going to make it political. We said that, and if you look at the speakers that come on my platform, come on this platform, a Progressive Empowerment Party platform, they don't have to endorse the Progressive Empowerment Party, and they certainly don't have to endorse me. No other political party is that brave. We allow people the opportunity to speak from a position of country first. It's easy to talk. It's easy to talk. Everybody could do it. Everybody could vent their spleen and give you their opinions. But at the end of the day, I have a friend, his name is Sean. Sean tells me, Philip, every decision you're going to make in business, let the numbers decide. I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago, let the numbers decide. There is at least $30 billion in every $60 billion budget that we could do without. Now, I'm happy to sit with the Auditor General and the Minister of Finance and point it out publicly. There are plenty of things that we spend money on in this country that we don't need. There are things that we buy that we never use. And it's a finger-pointing game. There are hundreds of millions of dollars of pipe, idle pipe, lying down all over this country. We have hundreds of millions of dollars in broken down boats, hundreds of millions of dollars in broken down fire engines, hundreds of millions of dollars in broken down police cars. We spend ridiculous sums of money moving prisoners from the jail to the court. Millions of dollars moving prisoners from the jail to the court, when for a fraction of that money we could build a court near the jail and save those millions of dollars. And we've been telling them that for decades. Look at where we are now. Trinidad and Tobago, this here barreling down at us. I heard the wife of the Prime Minister say, shoot, the country's seeing the light. I say, yeah, we are. That's the train rushing at us down the tunnel. That's the light you're seeing. We are in danger as a nation. People were forced to send children to school today, and plenty of those people had to choose between school shoes and a meal. This was the third wealthiest nation in the world, in the Western world. It was America, Canada, Trinidad and Tobago. We were wealthier than Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Paraguay, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, Barbados, all. We were wealthier than all. Where's our money? Where's our money? The last semblance of it was a pittance, a subsidy for fuel. And the only reason that we need our money is because our government made a mess of our refinery. There was a time Petrotrin was the largest refinery in the world. We've destroyed everything good about Trinidad and Tobago. Not us, the people, but us, the people, by our foolish votes into identity politics that gave them the opportunity to use racial division to play a lesser evil, who thief more, who thief less game that left all of us now broken. Trinidad is in a dangerous place. National Flour Mills needs to account for where the next shipment of flour is coming from, when it is due to arrive, and what the price will be. Ask them that. Don't give us another rude surprise. When the silos are empty now, the next shipment, what's that price going to be? And will that raise the price of bread again? All of the people who want fixed salaries, all of the people who work in OJT, URP, CPEP, all of the retirees, all of the people who have a fixed income, when the cost of everything in their life inflates, what will they do? There are plenty good and law-abiding people tonight that are going to find themselves committing criminal acts to survive. We are going to create crime, and we're going to create poverty-driven crime in this country because we have jokers in government who are not telling you the truth. Our government, our ministers are overpaid. They are trying to give themselves another raise in their pension, even though they can't pay the pension due and owing to the people who made all of their 750 contributions to NIS and more. We cannot continue to allow this as reality in Trinidad and Tobago. We can't allow our country to fall any further. This fuel price increase is unacceptable. It will destabilize our country. This is worse than a line in the sand. This is a ticking time bomb. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to be sensible enough to see it for what it is and call on the government for a proper audit of all of our expenses and to identify ways and means that money could be saved, not just to give us back the subsidy, but to also save the taxpayers the burden of paying for all this corruption and crime. If we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, don't find a way to stand together, all of us one people under one flag, then identity, racial, tribal, corruption, politics is going to destroy it all. Yeah? I'd like to thank David Welch and Satish Ramsaran for all the work they did, technically and otherwise. I'd like to thank all the speakers who joined us tonight. I'd like to thank all of the people who have been reaching out to join. peptt.com/join. Until the end of this month, it's free. So use the opportunity right now to go to peptt.com/join and join, because it's still free. And come on board. And come on board with us and add your name and add yourself and help. Help us build a movement that rescues this country from red and yellow identity politics. Because if we don't fix Trinidad and Tobago, there's not going to be much left for any of us in the near future. Thank you.
Slowly over the hills. Everywhere is golden sunlight.
We would like to thank our political leader, Mr. Philip Edward Alexander, and we would like to thank all of our viewers tonight. Join us again next week, Tuesday, for the People's Platform, same time, 7 p.m. We look forward to seeing you. Have a good night.
Water from year to year. Hearts that no one desire. That if there is a Messiah, someday he'd hear their whispered prayer. Covered always bare and scanty. 10 people in a one-bedroom shanty. Forced to sell on the pavement. No vacancy, no employment. Cattle firecracker from gunshot. Blood does flow when things get hot. Afraid to look out the window. To hear voices from the ghetto.